A hair back include. We in here. What's happening, y'all? Yeah, I need to put this in the sink right quick. But look, today, real quick, we're gonna talk about how Chris Bumstead beat Breon Ansley, man. No, watching it, I wasn't there. I had to catch the live broadcast and stuff that was put up online. But first and foremost, digital muscle seems a lot like I heard in disguise. Let me say that first and foremost. Y'all ain't tricking us. But anyway, so yeah. That was an upset, man. I'm gonna go recap a few things real fast, actually. Men's physique, shout out to the boy Raymond Evans. He won. Hey man, I believe he's from Pittsburgh. I'm from Pittsburgh, so you know I'm definitely rocking with him. But he looked great. I knew last year he was going to win this year. Brandon Hendrickson got fourth. Of course, that was to be expected. I mean, Andre Ferguson was in good health this year. He was on, definitely killed it. And yeah, so all the guys did well. Brandon Henderson, people were saying, how did he get fourth? Look, he was not nearly as dominant as he was last year, even though he looked good. I know that hurt his soul a little bit, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. There's a new men's physique champion, and I knew that anyone who's been following the sport knew for years now that Raymond was going to eventually take, especially last year, he just started taking them strides. And he's definitely, when I think of men's physique, definitely a men's physique guy. There's a new dude that was up there. I forgot his name. I apologize if you see this, but he looks like the poster child for men's physique. Like back when it came out, like the poster child. Like what? If I had to take a picture of somebody, say this is what the division is, it would be him. And he got third. So that's what's up. And yeah, but we talking about men's classics. So how did Breon? Because a lot of people are like, how did Breon lose to Chris Bumstead? You know, some people saying, oh, well, you know, he only lost by 1 point last year, and he was all messed up and watery and all that. But y'all forgot that Chris Bumstead also lost the previous year, right? And this year, Breon was definitely much more improved, much more conditioning that he had at least going into the show. And definitely Chris Bumstead made the changes that he needed to make. But here's the thing that I think really sent him back now. If Breon Ansley's 100% on and Chris Bumstead is 100% on, Breon's beating him every time. Even if it's just by 1 point, he's beating him every time. And do not miss the fact that they throw out the highs and lows. So winning by 1 point, who knows? Somebody could have put Chris like dumb last or something, or Breon dumb last, and they threw it out. And even if Breon had all straight ones, right? So don't forget, that could be a little bit misleading, but he did. They are close. I don't think that Breon's ever just wiped the floor with Chris. And I don't think anybody who's been following the division would say that. But prejudging, I noticed that Breon was in trouble. I thought that George Peterson might actually get that second spot because I was really worried. I knew Breon was a winner when I seen prejudging because his tan looked a little bit too dark. And from what I was able to see, it looked like he may have been holding some water or something. Like he didn't look 100% on at prejudging. And knowing how close it always is with him and Chris Bumstead, I was like, oh, this man lost. He's going to have all them shirts that he got for the 3-peat. He's going to have to hold them till next year. He's going to have to send them back. Like, he lost. He's not winning this. And I knew. And he did come back to the next show looking better, but Chris came back looking the same. It was lights out. It wasn't lights out like, but it was lights out. I would like to see the scorecard. I should have actually looked at that before I made this video. But Chris definitely deserved to win. Breon didn't get cheated. I don't know what happened, but for prejudging, a lot of people at the show do feel like Breon got cheated. And I will say that if you ever went to go see a bodybuilding show and then watched the bodybuilding show on video and looked at the pictures, it's night and day difference. There are things you see in person that you can't see on a video. So sometimes when we watch videos, we see a person win and it makes sense to us. So we're like, yo, clear cut. But the people who see it in person all have a different perspective because they can see the details that don't come through. It's like Phil Heath has details that if you never see this man in person competing, you cannot appreciate it. Even people like Victor Martinez and all that. The reason why I was such an uproar in 2007 is because, okay, for me, I could see how Jay Cutler edged him out watching the video. Obviously, I wasn't at that show. It was 2007. I'm not that old. 2007, though, people who were there, I remember watching the interview with Flex Wheeler, and he said it was BS, man. He was the first person I heard say it, and then everybody who was at that show said that. And it turns out, Victor Martinez, this is when I first realized that there's something to see in the show in person. Keep in mind, I'm like 13, or 12, 13. And no, I'm 13 in 2007. Right? So, I'm 12 in 2007. Math skills failed me real quick. So there is something about being in person. But from what I've seen, and Chris Jones just put up a great video explaining this. Usually I don't reference other people's stuff. Chris Jones on Pump Chasers put up a great video breaking down just the poses. A few poses. Not the whole prejudging and all that, but just poses one by one. And he broke down pretty much quite simply, and you can't argue the fact that Chris won fair and square. That pick your own classic pose is some bull crap. What they need to do is just put in all the regular bodybuilding poses, because classic bodybuilding really is bodybuilding with a weight limit to keep people from getting too big. And a lot of people who say, oh, George isn't classic, Breon's not classic, these guys are like 212 bodybuilders. First and foremost, the top three they all turned pro, I believe. Well, George Peterson was in bodybuilding, switched, and then turned pro. But the other two turned pro as bodybuilders. Like Chris Bumstead turned pro at North Americans as a bodybuilder, and Breon Ansley used to be 212. So, shut up. And also, a lot of people think that every classic bodybuilder has to look like Frank Zane or Arnold. That's not the case. You guys need to go back, study 70s bodybuilders, 80s bodybuilders, early 90s bodybuilders. You guys are the type of people probably walk up, see an old video of Rich Gaspari at some point, and someone say, oh, he's not a classic bodybuilder. Rich Gaspari is a classic bodybuilder. You could even argue at some point that Sean Ray might not have been. You guys don't know what, you guys think that everybody has to be tall and wide to be classic bodybuilders. That's really not what classic bodybuilding is. Classic bodybuilding, like it's Lila Brada. You guys will look at Lila Brada and say that he's not classic probably. But we all know that he isn't going to appreciate him. Classic bodybuilding, let me break this down real quick and I'll go ahead and go on, is about the symmetry, proportion. And of course, symmetry, because some of you guys don't understand this, is, all right, you divide the physique left and right, and they're balanced, right? They're the same, as close as they can be. Proportions, the deltoids are in correct proportion to the biceps in the right proportion to the things like the calves, and the chest in correct proportion, and then the legs. So, like for instance, George Peterson brought his legs up a lot, but his legs are kind of skinny, right? Compared to the rest of them, his legs are not in proportion. Things like that. And like Chris Bumstead, the reason why Breon has better flow than Chris Bumstead is because Chris Bumstead his biceps are lacking, because his biceps are out of proportion to the rest of him. But that's not really his fault. He's brought them up a lot. That's not his fault. So, yeah, but Chris Bumstead has a better structure than Breon. That's another thing. People get structure and flow mixed up. Like flow, it's just you look at it, your eyes can't rest, because when there's something so well put together, your eyes just travel all around. They don't focus on any one point. When somebody doesn't have a perfect flow, you start either you go towards their strong points when you look at them, or you go right to their weak points. It's like when you see it's like when you look at a circle. You don't focus your eyes on one part of the circle or a square unless somebody screws it up, right? Because the flow of it is perfect. There's nowhere to rest. There's nowhere to find fault. Okay, so that's pretty much what it is, and it all makes sense. Somebody with terrible flow in the open would be in, what's that guy's name? Michael Lockett. He got a good physique, but his flow, you look at him, it's like your eyes are kind of like something's off. It's not smooth. But to recap, after giving you that brief bodybuilding lesson, right? It's like this. Breon actually lost fair and square. It looked like he was going to lose since prejudging. He could not make up the ground. Breon has to bring it all the time. When you're facing somebody like Chris Bumstead, it doesn't matter. With those guys, if somebody's even a little bit off, if Breon's a little bit off, he's losing. If Chris is a little bit off, he's losing. If Chris is 100%, Breon's 100%, Chris is losing. And if they're both off, then it's just who's the least off. Because, come on, if anytime a guy shows up and he's not 100% and you still lose by 1 point, even with what I said about throwing out the highs and the lows, that's a dangerous guy. But don't miss that they both were on 2 years ago and Breon still won. Don't miss that Breon still made major improvements in the fact that people are arguing that we're there and people on the live cast shows that it ain't over yet. But if there's anybody who's going to battle for the title, and I think it's them too. And I'm not glad that it happened because I do feel bad for Breon a little bit because I know he was not seeing that. He is older than Chris Bumstead, so and he's having a harder time making the weight. So I know his time is kind of passing in the division. But at the same time, it does make it more exciting because when them two step on stage, we don't know who's going to win now. It's not a shoo-in. When they step on stage and they get it, and best believe Chris is going to be, no, he needs to hold on to the title, and Breon's going to be trying to take it back. So next year, y'all stay tuned. How you going to act?